Okay everybody, I'm going to show you some marker techniques. So you can see over here I've got markers and I have crayons, and I'm going to be using them both. The first technique that I'm going to show you is the solid marker technique. And this is when we want to cover an area of an artwork. We can use the edge of our marker, the chiseled edge, to create overlapping lines in our artwork. We can use the tip so that there's very little indication of a brush stroke on the page. We can do lots of different techniques, sort of a waffle weave here, to fill areas on the page. What you want to make sure that you're doing is that your brush strokes are very deliberate. Also notice as I go over top of the already drawn area, I can create a sense of depth or shading in that area, so I can actually darken the marker. So keep that in mind as you are working with your markers, that your brush strokes are key. Another technique that we can look at is an overlapping technique. So overlapping solid on solid. Generally, when we're doing overlapping with a solid on solid, we start with the lighter color first, and then we go in with our darker color on top of that. And we can create some interesting shapes, some interesting shading by doing that. Again, you can go back in with your lighter color to try and create that sense of gradation, going from your light color to your darker color. Another technique that you can use is stippling. Stippling is a series of dots. Stippling. We can do dots that are close together, and we can do dots that are further apart. If you'll notice, my dots are very deliberate. They're not slashing at the page. I'm not hearing the marker hit the page. The nice thing about stippling is we can actually mix colors together. So if I go in with a different color, I can actually have one color bleed in to the previous color and can create some very nice effects with that. The next technique that we want to look at is hatching. Hatching is a series of lines. They're usually parallel lines. The closer the lines are together, the darker the value of the color. Again, with hatching, just like with stippling, we can mix colors together. So we can take a different color and mix in the two colors. Okay, we can always go back in with the original color. Cross-hatching is the same technique, the same concept, but instead of using single lines, you're going to use crossed lines. Okay, so we can do lines in one direction, and then lines in the other direction. And again, just like the other techniques, we can use this same technique to start blending colors together. So far we have solid, overlapping, stippling, hatching, and cross-hatching. All of these techniques can be used with crayon as well. You get a slightly different effect if you do that. Another technique that you can use, which is a mixture of crayon and marker, looks like this. If I make some drawings on my page in crayon, because marker is water-based, I can color right over top and it will not smudge the crayon, and the crayon shows through. So that's a really interesting technique. You can do that with white as well. So the same idea, I'm drawing with a white crayon. Can't really see it on the white page. But if I go in with the marker over top, my drawing shows up. This is called crayon resist. Right? Crayon resist.